to license it.
Meep, meep.
Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1:34 scale Welly Porsche 911 Turbo. It's my all-time favorite car, and admit it, when you see one of these, you stop and stare. This one is brand new, number 43683, and it's not really in need of a makeover, but I want to take it apart and see what's inside. I like the scale that it's in. It's larger than what I regularly work with, and therefore there's much more detail in the casting and the plastic interior, but it's lacking in details on the outside as far as colors and bumpers and lights and indicators. So I've got some ideas for this one. Here's a scale comparison. In my right hand is the normal 1:64 scale turbo, and in my left hand the one I'm working on today, and you can see a huge difference, not just in size but in detail and in quality. The 1:64 scale is a Siku, and they are generally very nice cars too. It doesn't help that this one got chewed by the dog and looks terrible, but that's the difference in size. Well, my first time to take one of these apart and see what it's all about. There are no posts to drill, no rivets. These are held in with 2 screws. Off comes the body, and I look inside there and think, oh, there's a lot of parts. It's a 2-piece interior. The seats drop out the bottom, ejector style. And now look at this. Little console, stick shift with a ribbed gaiter, and even hand grips on the hand brake. It's pulled part way up, and the wheels are absolutely bang on for a Porsche Turbo from this era. Good job by Welly. Well, this is where the fun begins, and I've seen door hinge pins like this before, no surprise, just bigger. And in order, the dashboard comes out incredibly detailed. The tachometer is in 3D relief. You can feel the needle. Off come the doors, and there's a door card and a window, separate pieces here. And I'm just kind of experimenting around and exploring, and I find that the X-Acto knife fits in there. I just separate that just enough, but it didn't come out. I need to give it a half a turn and pry it out with a flathead screwdriver. The other door comes off in the same fashion. The famous whale tail spoiler. It's held in from underneath by these crimped plastic pins, and I have to remove those at this point, which means at reassembly time I'll just use a little bit of super glue from underneath, and it can be poked out with my screwdriver. The famous frog eye lights, also loosened from the inside and then I just pop them out. And they are actually in two pieces. There's a small silver piece that goes inside the plastic lens, and it gives it a really nice depth. And that's another nice example of the quality and the detail that you get, the rear taillight with the Porsche logo on it. Main windshield came out, and I just pop out the side windows with a little push from the inside. And the parts basket has never been so important as it is today. Wow, that's quite a collection, and I would definitely lose one or more of these over the course of the restoration if I didn't keep them all together. That's a good tip. Make sure you know where your parts are. Regular paint stripping process. And all the metal parts go in, and my first problem is the 1:34 scale doesn't fit entirely into my paint stripping gel tub. So I gotta move it around a little bit. If that's my biggest setback, I'm in good shape. If I'm successful with today's makeover, I have quite a collection of other larger scale cars that I want to work on. All of these came in different eBay hauls where I was ordering 1:64 scale, and they throw in a couple of plastic ones and fantasy cars, and every now and then 2 or 3 of these appears kind of as a bonus, and I've never given them attention until now. So if I'm successful with the turbo, there will be some more coming. I have quite a nice selection of minis and smart cars, and especially Ferraris, that I'm anxious to get my hands on. The 911 Turbo occupies a very special place in the history of Porsche, being their very first turbocharged production car. It was unveiled at the Paris Motor Show in October 1974. Derived from the Carrera RS 3.0, the 911 Turbo engine, with its 3-liter displacement, produced 260 brake horsepower. The 911 Turbo, also known as the 930, apart from the cost, was not a car for everyone, developing a reputation of being rather temperamental, but also incredibly fun. If you're enjoying this video, I invite you to give it a thumbs up and think about becoming a regular subscriber of Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. It doesn't cost you anything at all. And make sure you hit the notification bell so that you'll know about upcoming content. And I welcome your respectful comments. You write them in below, and I promise I will respond to them as quickly as I can. I appreciate hearing from you, and make sure you tell me where you're watching from. I'm in Switzerland, and I'm a world traveler, so I'm most interested to know where this worldwide audience watching comes from. The bare metal detail reveals a very nice body, no casting lines on here, so that's a testament to its quality as well. And I brush off the workbench because it's time to go to the paint booth, and I don't want any steel wool debris flying around and sticking to the paintwork. It gets degreased, and the regular Tamiya fine white primer goes on to the body and the doors and the spoiler. And I'll let that set up and cure while I go about some other things. liking my new paint booth. This is just the second project inside, and it's got a much nicer extraction fan on it. Pretty quiet too. A nice brilliant light inside for me to work on and for you to see the videos. Using a rattle can today, and this orange is part of the Porsche color palette from the 70s and the 80s. So it's not the original white that I started with, but it's going to give a nice effect when I start doing some of the black detailing on the exterior. Now, because it's a little bigger, I have a bit more free rein to do some fun little details that I would never attempt on a 1:64 scale car. That would just be too miniature and aggravating. But what I've done here is take some masking tape and sprayed it the same color as the exterior of the car and made a set of sport seat belts. And instead of just being painted on, which gives a nice visual effect, this is a real 3D look. You'll notice as I turn it sideways, that's much more realistic looking. A little chrome touch in the center of the steering wheel, and later that's going to receive the world's smallest Porsche logo. So when I get in my Boxster, I always let out a breath and I look at that and think, oh yeah, that's a special part of the car. Now this is where I'm trying to pick up on where Welly did not do very much, although the wipers and the window trim were black on the original. The bumpers were not, and some other features that you'll see me work on here, and I'm being very careful. The car is larger, so it's a bit easier to work on these bits, but black on orange is absolutely unforgiving if you make a mistake. So I'm really going excruciatingly slow and working carefully here. If I go over an edge, and inevitably I do, I immediately take a dry toothpick and lightly rub the still wet paint, and it generally comes off perfectly, and I didn't have to do any orange touch-up on this job. Starting with the K-Series, which was presented in August 1977, the 911 Turbo saw its displacement increase to 3.3 liters, with the maximum power rising to 300 brake horsepower. And for this new version, the car received a newly shaped rear spoiler. The Turbo remained the dream car of many enthusiasts for the rest of the 70s and for almost all the 80s. In 1987, the car was equipped with the Targa and Cabriolet bodies, and in 1988, the new 964 series was launched, which for the moment did not include a new turbo. The 930 remained in production until the end of 1988, and turbo enthusiasts had to wait until March 1990 for the presentation of the supercharged 964 model. The side panel decals are a regular feature on many Porsches, not on the Welly model, so I thought I would include that as a simple and tasteful addition. And I've turned mine into a Turbo S. Why not? And every Porsche enthusiast will appreciate the badge on the front bonnet is so important. And finally, I get to work with a custom license plate that you can actually see and read. They are so small. Normally I could go just a little bit bigger on this one, and I simply apply it with some white glue. It's not a decal, it's just printed on regular copy paper, but everything's going to get clear coated, which will give it the protection and the longevity that it needs. Even the door handles are about 40% bigger, so that makes it easier not to miss with the Molotov chrome pen. And you sure don't want to miss with those pens, they get on everything. I got the flat black out again because I decided to do these rear plastic bumpers. And pretty soon you're going to see this all coming together. There's only one side mirror. Welly. I don't know why, perhaps they had a reason for that. And I'm going black with mine to match the rest of the exterior detail. And it's these very small touches, and some of them quite subtle, that I hope altogether will make a big impact when I'm finished. I use Tamiya Clear Orange for the rear indicators. The chrome pen comes back out for the mirror effect. Now this was the part that I was not dreading, but not anticipating. So many pieces need to go back together and reassembled in the correct order. I actually had to go back and watch the raw, unedited video of my disassembly to remember in what order to reassemble things. And here's just about everything. The small side windows just push back in with the tab inserted into the hole, and that's nice and tight. I love this little detail. Look at the rear end on this now, isn't that gorgeous? The bumpers in black, the license plate, the custom red tail light that was provided. And here's the super miniature headlights in two pieces. And I took a moment just to sandpaper down a plastic burr that was on each one of those. That was an oversight by Welly. Super glue was applied from the inside. The windshield does not need super glue or silicone. It pops down firmly on that one post. The very finely detailed but rather boring black dashboard is reinstalled with brand new custom instrument panel, and glove box and radio pushes back into place. The axles just lay down on there and are held in place by the bottom. And in reverse order of disassembly, it's all put back together. Let's have a closer look. Don't you think the black trim stands out nicely on the Porsche 70s orange paint job? I especially like the rear end. Here's a peek at the inside with the detail, and I actually added some chrome buckles onto my sport seat belts. Doors still function perfectly, thank you very much. I'm very pleased with how this turned out. It's basically an exercise in detailing for me today. And having reached at least this level of success for my first 1:34 scale car, I can promise you some more 1:34 scale videos in the future. Here it was in the beginning, new out of the box, and just a beautiful car as all 911 turbos are, but missing these little details that I've taken care to add to mine. Well, if you thought that detailing job was okay, give it a thumbs up, won't you? This turbo goes into a gift bag like all my makeovers do, so someone else can receive it and play with it and love it. Thanks for visiting my channel today. I hope you'll come back again and visit real soon and often. It's coffee time.